So the month of April is starting to wind down to an end as we are about to head into a series against the San Francisco Giants for some interleague play. But before we do that, we do have a couple things to go over. The first one being a pretty major injury, as Jordan Lyles will unfortunately miss the rest of the season with a torn labrum. He was pitching quite well in his basically like 4.5 starts because he made 5 starts, but in that 5th start was when he got hurt. So I'm not really sure how long he lasted through that game. So basically 4.5 starts, but he was pitching quite well, as he was last year as well. And we're going to be missing him for the rest of the season, but that does open up a spot in the rotation for Colby Allard, who has been called up from AAA Nashville to take Lyles' spot in the rotation. Also, Clayton Andrews is up from AAA as he is now in the bullpen as another lefty up there, and DeMarcus Evans is the one going down to AAA because he has pitched a lot and he didn't have much stamina, so we're doing the whole shuffling up and down thing. And if we check in with our bats, Yoenis Cespedes is the only good hitter on the team so far who has gotten off to a great start to the year, a 1,000 plus OPS so far for him. Almora and Didi are starting to turn things around a bit, but really nobody is hitting quite that well on the Rangers, which has been a very big problem for us, that just like nobody can hit on this team through a season and like a little bit less than a month. Even the guys that were producing for us last season, the very few that there were, have gotten off to very, very shaky starts here in 2021, so hopefully we can start to turn things around as the season progresses. So the Rangers travel out to the Bay Area to take on the San Francisco Giants in some interleague action at Oracle Park. On the hill for the Giants is the right-hander Logan Webb, making his 6th start of the season, looking to rebound as he has a 5 ERA through so far in the season. And then also with a 5 ERA making his 6th start of the year is Kyle Gibson, the right-hander for the Rangers. Start things off with him, bottom half of the first inning. It's Dubon drawing himself a walk, so he's on first base now with 2 outs, as Mike Yastrzemski hitting a ball out to deep right center field. That is way out of here. Over the fence or over the brick wall in right center, a 2-run shot for Yaz, and the Giants jump out to a 1-0 lead. So top of the 4th, I know Joey Gallo is struggling, but I mean, just look at this AB, just everything right on the corners, just getting no breaks whatsoever as he strikes out to end the 4th. We now move on to the bottom of the 5th inning, where Kyle Gibson is picking things back up, strikes out the opposing pitcher Logan Webb in a very competitive AB, and then he would proceed to strike out the leadoff hitter in Austin Slater to end the 5th inning. So the score remains 2-0 until the top of the 6th, where Elvis Andrus showing some little bit of pop here, left center field, bleachers. A solo shot off the bat of Elvis cuts the lead in half. It's now a 2-1 ball game. Move things on, bottom of the 6th now. Dubon hits a ground ball over to shortstop. Andrus boots it. That's going to be an infield single for Dubon. And then it brings up Wilmer Flores as Elvis Andrus immediately makes up for it with a great 6-4-3 double play. And then Yaz comes up with 2 outs and sends a ball out to deep right center yet again. This one's actually going to be tracked down right at the wall by Albert Almora Jr. Clayton Andrews came on at the bottom of the 7th, trying to bridge the gap for the Rangers' bats, and he would do just that. Works a 1-2-3 inning, topped off by a Buster Posey shallow pop fly in right field. Then Tony Watson came on in the top of the 8th for the Giants, facing Elvis Andrus. Hits a line drive up the middle, base knock with 1 out in the inning, so he's on first base. Danny Santana then comes on as a pinch hitter with 1 out, works a 1-0 count, and he would proceed to hit one through the right side of the infield. So back-to-back singles for the Rangers. It's now 1st and 2nd for Texas. With 1 out, brings up Albert Almora, and he's going to chop one over to shortstop. That's a 6-4-3 double play, and the Giants get out of the inning. Brett Martin came on in the bottom of the 8th. He has not given up a run all season long so far, and that's not going to change here as he strikes out Slater to end the inning, and the score remains 2-1. Move things on top of the 9th. Reyes Maranta coming on looking for the save. He has not had a great start to the year, and he's going to blow yet another save. That's his 4th blown save on the year already as Ronald Guzman Going left center field, the wall scraper makes it a 2-2 ball game. Baranta blows the save. It's now a tie. Johnny Cueto came on the top of the 10th in extra innings for the Giants. And facing Willie Calhoun with a runner on first base, hard hit ground ball over to the shortstop. Crawford makes the stop. Cueto gets out of the inning. Move things on top of the 11th now. Albert Almora going down the left field line. That's going to get up the bottom of the wall. And that's going to be an easy two-bagger for Almora. Gets his fleet feet into scoring position to lead off the inning. Brings up Didi, who chops onto the second base. Almora moves up to third, so he's in third base with one out. All they need is a sac fly. Guzman gets caught on the changeup out in front. That's two down in the inning. That would then bring up Joey Gallo as he whiffs through the high fastball, and the score remains 2-2 as Cueto works out of the jam. Move things on top of the 12th now. Rougned Odor. Left center field, he's going gapping. That gets down into the gap, up against the wall. It's an easy two-bagger for Odor. So he's in second base with two outs, keeping the inning alive. Elvis Andrus was unintentionally walked to get to the pitcher, as they then bring on Nick Vincent out of the bullpen to face the pinch hitter in Mark Payton, the left-handed bat. Former Texas Longhorn comes on. He is first pitch swinging, sends the ball into shallow center field, and Dubon, playing center field on the day, makes the diving catch and robs them of probably the go-ahead run there, as that's going to be still a 2-2 game now. Trevor Hildenberger comes on in the bottom of the 13th, and Buster Posey hits one at the right center field, usually known as Triples Alley, but instead this one's going to roll up against the wall and only be a double, as Posey is just that slow. But he is in scoring position nonetheless. Brandon Crawford comes up, ground ball to first base. Posey's now over on third with two outs, and that would bring up Keen Wong as he proceeds to bloop one in front of Cespedes in left field, and that's going to drive in the game-winning run. Buster Posey scores on the RBI single by Keen Wong as the San Francisco Giants walk off the Texas Rangers here at Oracle Park and win by a score of 3-2. Mike Yastrzemski picks up Player of the Game honors for the Giants. He went 1 for 3 on the day. He had a 2-run shot back in the top half, or the bottom half of the first inning, I should say. Wandy Peralta gets the win for the Giants, and Trevor Hildenberger gets the loss for the Rangers. We now move things on a little bit later on into the season, as we are about halfway through the month of May now, and we're sitting at a disappointing 17-28 on the year so far, which is just not ideal. 2 disappointing seasons in a row shaping up to be so far. Hopefully we can turn things around. We've definitely had plenty of seasons throughout the years to be doing franchises where we start off slow and then turn things around. We're definitely going to need the bats to turn things around in a big way, and then it's also not going to help that we have another big injury to our team. Lance Lynn is going to the 60-day IL with a fractured hand. He is out 1 to 2 months, but that does open up a spot for one of our top prospect pitchers in Hans Kraus. He will be called up, and he is going to be making his debut against the Boston Red Sox in the upcoming game. Another check-in with the bats so far. Everyone is still bad except for Yoenis Cespedes, so not a great start for the bats still. Especially Joey Gallo in his 144 ABs so far this year. He is slashing 153, 248, 264. That is a 512 OPS, looking like last year Rougned Odor. I mean, I don't know what is going on, but he's just monumentally bad. The whole team is. It's ridiculous. And the thing that really stinks about Gallo performing this bad is that we can't even trade him if we want him to. I mean, yes, in this game, there's a broken trade system, and we could actually, I physically can trade him in the game, and we could fleece some organization because of his A potential, but I'm not going to do that because that's not the way I do things. If Joey Gallo put up 2 straight seasons like this in real life, his value would be absolutely in the dumps. A team could trade for him for absolutely nothing. He might even get DFA'd at this point if he's performing that poorly. He'd be one of those typical guys that has a lot of potential, but just hasn't lived up to it for whatever reason, and then some smart team like the Rays or somebody with a good analytical department would pick him up and be like, hey, if you change this or whatever, maybe we think you could be better with us. But 2 straight seasons of very low OPSs is not something that ends up translating into being like trading for a bunch of top prospects, even though you can do that in this game. So it puts me in an interesting spot where what I have to do with him. I believe he has the rest of this year and then maybe next year for team control left. So, I mean, I really don't want to move on from Joey Gallo, but, I mean, we still have a whole season left to play. Who knows, maybe he turns things around. We'll make that decision when the time comes. But since the Bats are performing so poorly for an entire season last year, then also not gotten off to a great start this year, it might be time to start looking at calling up some of the young guys for a spark at the big league roster. Josh Young is currently not getting on base down in AAA, but he is hitting extra base hits. So he is a guy who could possibly get called up pretty soon. Bryce Terang, I probably would call him up if he was not hitting terribly. He has a 604 OPS through 115 ABs in AAA. And I mean, if the guy's not hitting in AAA, he's not going to come to the big leagues and all of a sudden just start being a world beater and just start absolutely tearing things up. That's not going to happen. The Rangers now back home at Globe Life Field, playing host to the first place in the AL East Red Sox, as Hans Kraus, in an extremely German accent, is making his debut with the Texas Rangers. The 6'4", 22-year-old right-hander. Start things off with him top half of the first inning. Leading off the game is Mark Eaton. He's getting punched out in the fastball for Krause's first major league strikeout. And then the inning would come to an end as JD Martinez gets a steady diet of slurves, and he strikes out on the third straight one. So it's 2 strikeouts for Krause through 1 inning. On the top of the second now, things did not go as well for Krause in this inning as he walks Devers, and then Mitch Moreland is getting a 2-bagger. That's going to be move Devers over to third base, so it's second and third with 1 out for the Red Sox now. Brings up Michael Chavis, who then grounds out to second base. Nick Solak makes the play, but a run does come in to score, make it a 1-0 game. So 2 down, brings up Alex Verdugo. He's going just barely down the left field line, skims over the bag down the left field line, drives in another run. It's now a 2-0 game with 2 outs. And then Christian Vasquez bloops one into right field, base knock, first and second now. Brings up Adam Eaton back to the top of the order, and that's going to get down in the left center field gap. Slow roller up against the wall, and Eaton's still got enough speed to turn that into a 2-run triple, as the Red Sox now have themselves a 4-0 lead in this ball game. As then Bogarts would strike out in the third inning, and Devers would follow suit and get punched out on the slur as Krause rebounds in the third inning. We now move on to the fourth, as Krause is also dealing here. Strikes out Moreland to kick off the inning. Then Michael Chavis chasing the slider for out number 2. They would then bring up Verdugo, and he's punched out in the slurve as well. Strikes out the side. Krause tearing things up aside from that one awful second inning. Bottom of the fifth, we check in with Colin McHugh, who was the starter on the day for the Red Sox. The catcher, Sam Huff, ripping a ball through the left side of the infield. A base knock to lead off the inning for Huff. Next batter up is Joey Gallo, draws himself a walk. It's not bases loaded, but first and second. And then it would be bases loaded after Ronald Guzman singles. So bases are juiced with nobody out for the Texas Rangers, and Yon Ibar comes on to replace Colin McHugh. And at the dish, it's Nick Solak, who would proceed to hit a ball out to right field. Now I'm just going to be straight up with you. We're just going to pause the play here for a quick minute because I need to explain what's about to happen. This should very well be a sac fly. Runner from third tags up the score. Runner from second tags up to third. And we should have runners on the corners with 1 out. We're still in a great position. That is not what ended up happening, because the only way I can explain it is the fact that my D-pad is busted. But essentially what's wrong with my D-pad is if I do not press the left D-pad in a very, very specific spot, it thinks I'm pressing down on the D-pad. So you can see what happened. It's now a 4-1 game as we move things on to the bottom of the 6th inning. Albert Almora hitting one over the head of the shortstop Bogarts, and that's going to get down in the left center field gap as the speedy legs of Almora are in there with a leadoff double. Now with 2 outs in the inning, it's Willie Calhoun committing some lefty on lefty crime, a high arcing home run. That's going to just barely land in the right field seats, but it still counts. A 2-run shot, and the Rangers are back in it. It's now a 4-3 ball game. Arodys Vizcaíno, recently called up from AAA, is now on the hill in the top of the 8th. Runner on second with 1 out, strikes out Devers for out number 2, and then Mitch Moreland, slider, whiffing through that. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Vizcaíno. It's still a 4-3 game. Bottom of the 8th, Brandon Workman came on for the Red Sox. Having a good season so far. 1 out, it's Danny Santana, whiffs through a pitch. That's strike 3, but it gets away from Vasquez, and Santana reaches on the drop third strike. Brings up Yoenis Cespedes, and oh, baby! That one's way out of here. A long home run to right center field. Way out of here. 422 feet. A 2-run blast, and it puts the Rangers on top 5-4 for their first lead of the game as Brett Martin now going to get some chances as the closer will proceed to shut the door in the Red Sox faces as the Rangers win this one at home by a score of 5-4 thanks to a comeback victory. Hans Kraus does not get the loss on his debut. We had 2-run blasts from Willie Calhoun and, of course, Yoenis Cespedes to take the lead in the 8th inning. Arodys Vizcaíno got the win, Brandon Workman got the loss, and Brett Martin picks up his first save as he has now been shifted to the closer spot as Jose Leclerc was struggling quite a bit. And as far as Hans Kraus's major league debut, he went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, but he also did strike out 7 batters. All those 4 runs came in the 2nd inning. Everything else went swimmingly for him. He just needs to clean up that 1 bad inning, and things would have went much better for him in this ballgame. But the bats did pick him up, as the Texas Rangers, like I keep saying, did win this game. And with that being said, it's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Texas Rangers franchise. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, I have nothing clever to say, so listen to Warren Zevon. Big Warren Zevon guy.